All right, well, your council has made a very serious mistake today, and I'm telling you this in advance. And that is, they didn't put a time limit on it. If you look at it, it doesn't say like 9 till whenever. And they said, go as long as you want. And that's a bad thing to say to A, a lawyer, B, a talk radio guy. So I'm going to go as long as you want, frankly. I want to talk a little bit about the movement, where we are nationally as an organization, what we're doing, how we celebrated and continue to celebrate the 100th anniversary, which is a big deal. Then I want to talk a little bit about commissioner service, and then I want to talk about your council and the special opportunities that you've got here, because you really do have some extraordinary opportunities. First, nationally. I guess the most important thing I can say is happy anniversary to us as commissioners. Those of you who know, those of you who have our fancy 100th anniversary commissioner patches, anybody got those? Everybody got those? Oh my gosh, you know, man. Okay. Well, 1910, Boy Scouts begins. It doesn't begin with professionals. It doesn't begin with council presidents. It begins with commissioners. We commissioned a whole bunch of great adults. You could really take that picture down. People walking past it, and be on my chest. We commissioned an extraordinary group of men, and we sent them out into the councils. And we said, go start scouting. Go spread the word. It was purely volunteer-based, and there was nothing other than volunteers running the movement. A couple of years later, a lot of those commissioners became professionals. If you've ever noticed, we share the wreath of service with our professional brothers, because the professional movement grew out of the commissioner movement. 100 years ago, we started units, we recruited parents, we talked to kids, and we spread the word. 100 years later, as you'll learn later, we're back to doing just that. I'm troubled that no one has 100th anniversary patches, so I did bring one of mine to give to the judge, and thanks for being the council commissioner. We're the only position that's 100 years old. We are it. And we actually have special patches for each of your positions. If you want to wear it to celebrate commissioner service, do that. They should be in your scout shop. If not, you can get it from National. That said, looking back 100 years is great. The key we have to do really is look forward. And as we sat down as the national officers to figure out what we were going to do for the 100th anniversary, as we said, we got a 100th anniversary rolling around. 3 years ago, we started this planning. We said, what are we going to do to really celebrate 100 years? I mean, that's a rare thing. 100 years is a long time. It's a rare thing. We thought we can look backwards, we can celebrate, we can talk about our war service and World War I and World War II and everything we did and all the wonderful things we did, because that is important. Or we can lay the groundwork to figure out how somebody will be standing here in 100 years having the same conversation talking about our second 100 years. Because we knew that what we did in the last 3 years, and frankly in the next 5 years, would determine whether or not we had a second 100 years. So as we set out to figure out this 100th anniversary celebration, we had 3 goals. That's it, 3 goals. Goal number 1, we were going to reorganize the movement. We were going to turn the ship around. The bureaucracy had gotten pretty heavy, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Number 2, we were going to reintroduce America to the Boy Scouts of America. And number 3, we were going to control our own destiny. That's what we needed to do if we wanted to go for the next 100 years. So first, reorganize the movement. Just a little story, and I'm troubled because it's on videotape, but I want to tell it anyway. I had just gotten this job as National Commissioner. This is about 3.5 years ago. I flew to Dallas to meet with Wayne Brock, who had just been made Assistant Chief. He's my counterpart. And I was up there on the 4th floor of the national office, and we were going to go to lunch. So Wayne and I walk out, we get on the elevator, going to lunch downstairs in the cafeteria. And this little hand, the door's closing, little hand sticks in there and stops the elevator door. It's Wayne's assistant, Donna. And she's got a grim look on her face. She whispers something to Wayne. Wayne shakes his head. None of you know Wayne Brock, but he's tall, he's from North Carolina, he's very southern. He just shook his head, got off the elevator, didn't say a word to me, said, I'll be right back. Walks into his office, comes back about 5 minutes later, shakes his head, pushes a button, and we're going down for lunch. And of course I said, all right, I'm a national officer, tell me what's going on. By the way, it doesn't work. But anyway, it could have worked, but it didn't work. Here's the answer to me. He shook his head and he said, we got so much work to do here. Because you see, in the national office back then, in order to send a memo, correspondence, communication, or piece of mail to more than 49 people, you need 5 signatures. 5. Including the person sending it, their supervisor, the chief scout executive, the assistant chief scout executive, and the lawyer. All 5 had to sign off on the content of any communication going out to more than 49 people. Now that day was very important, because had Donna, Wayne's assistant, not stuck her hand in that door, not risked those precious phalanges of hers in the elevator door, pulled him off the elevator, taken him off for 5 minutes, made him sign off on the final email, not one person in the entire building would have known that there were free cupcakes in the cafeteria. Now, that's where we were. We were so trapped in bureaucracies. We had 32 divisions in the Boy Scouts of America. We had 9 layers under each division. We had 236 different websites in the movement that didn't look like each other. We hadn't reorganized and taken a clean look at this company in decades. And we said, if we're moving into the next century, we've got to retake control of this movement. And we came out with a new BSA. We brought in the McKinsey group, we reorganized everything, we went down to 19 divisions, we actually collapsed things into organizations that sort of ought to talk to each other. Like, for instance, I don't know, Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts should talk to each other. Think about this now. Cub Scouts, the largest part of our movement. How many people do you think we used to have on our professional staff focused solely on Cub Scouts? Training, materials, everything. How many? 3, right, 3. We had 3. Made no sense. So we reorganized the movement. And the most important part of what we did in that reorganization was turn the organizational chart upside down. We realized, as Jeff was just saying, and we reorganized the entire movement in such a way that the National Council is there solely and exclusively to serve local councils. Our customers are the local councils, and what we needed to do was provide more resources to the local council. The same way that Jeff just showed you a chart that said the real customer of your council is a unit, and you're focused and designed and built and organized to provide service to the unit. So we shook it up. We let go of 236 people, a lot of them friends, who weren't serving councils directly, and we stocked up with 236 people who were serving councils directly. In the new reorganization, we've made the national office try to be responsive to local councils. And by doing that, we've launched national marketing campaigns, we've launched Hispanic initiatives. We're trying to find a way, as a national resource, to be a national resource. We don't want to exist just to exist. We actually want it to exist in order to help. So that was step 1. Reorganize the office, kind of gain control of the business of the movement. Number 2, we needed to reintroduce America to the Boy Scouts. You know, we had that court case back in '97, and since then, we've been hiding. We've been scared to tell our story. Sometimes people don't like us, or they decide who we are, or they define our movement. And we've just said, okay, well, we're just going to go out in the woods or in the church basement, and we're just going to do our thing, and we're going to talk about what we do and who we are. We have over 100 million alumni. We have 50 million living alumni in this movement. We had 52,470 Eagle Scouts last year. Talk about a gift to America. We are the heart of America, and yet we stopped telling our story. And we decided on the 100th anniversary, we were going to do that. We were going to tell our story. We're going to reintroduce America to the Boy Scouts. We're going to let them know who we are, what we do, and who our work product is. And you're starting to see that roll out. You're starting to see more messaging. We've got very active media marketing campaigns. We've got PSAs and billboards and articles. Our press has almost quadrupled in the last 2 years as a result of being out there. We had a float in the Rose Bowl parade. I mean, think about that. The launch our 100th anniversary, and this is what's amazing. This will let you know where America is. In the Rose Bowl parade, you know, they have all these millions of floats. We were in the parade, we had 700 Eagle